Hi guys, you're watching another episode of the Phoenix Club. I'm Tom, this is Josh, and we're on to our first episode of Unpopular Opinions. On this show, we hit the wonderful world of Twitter to rack the brains and the unpopular opinions of all our fantastic fans and followers across all our accounts, and we roast them on this video, and we both have great fun doing it too. And the first one, speaking of roasts, is going to be on our very own host, Mr. Josh Samuels. Give us your opinion.
So, not only Tom, but some people of Twitter decided that this opinion, which I didn't think was that unpopular or that left field, is actually really not that widely agreed with. So, following Tottenham's departure from the FA Cup at the hands of Palace, I tweeted, not necessarily linked to this show, I just tweeted that Mauricio Pochettino without Harry Kane, and I guess in some respects without Son and Ali too, is like Brendan Rodgers without Luis Suarez. And the reason that I said this was because obviously when Suarez departed Liverpool, Rodgers got the sack not long after really, and likewise obviously Pochettino hasn't got Harry Kane at the moment because he's out injured, and then they've gone and lost a game that they really should have won. So I'm just going to sit back, bite my tongue, close my eyes, cover my ears whilst Tom lets loose that opinion.
Well, mate, there must be a reason, surely, that top clubs want Mauricio Pochettino. I agree he's unproven, and I agree that there's no excuse for him to not have won a trophy, but he's had no money. He's managed to basically bring up a top striker himself. Kane is, it's not like Rodgers buying Suarez off Ajax. This man has brought up Kane from the youth academy to where he is now. Dele Alli, similar. I mean, I understand they bought him from MK Dons, but Ali again brought up to the first team. Both England stars, and Mauricio Pochettino has basically turned Tottenham from a mid-table side, upper mid-table Europa Cup side to a solid Champions League team, mate. What are you on about there? I must say, I don't necessarily really rate Poch. I don't think he'll win the Premiership with Tottenham. But to say he's not a good manager and to say that he relies on Harry Kane, nah, man. Sorry.
Well, obviously, it's difficult to get a manager in the same calibre as Sir Alex Ferguson. But if you take a manager that can get results with pretty much whatever team he puts out. I mean, I don't know the exact team offhand, but there was one time when United played Arsenal, I believe in the FA Cup, and United had 7 defenders in the team, and we still beat Arsenal. And I'm not obviously saying that Pochettino is of Ferguson's calibre, but I think the point is that sometimes managers are being lauded too much because of the players that they have. And I think the example is if Brendan Rodgers had won the Premier League in 13-14, he would obviously never have got the sack. I don't believe a few months later. I also don't think that people would perhaps talk about him with as much disdain as perhaps they do, obviously, because they didn't win the league and then he got sacked a few months later. And the one big factor really that contributed to his dismissal, in my opinion, and the fact that Liverpool had such a dodgy start to the 14-15 season was because Luis Suarez wasn't there. And again, the fact that Spurs, we can only talk about the games that Spurs have played since those injuries, and the fact that they did lose to Palace. As I said, a game they should have won. And then for him to come out after the game and say it's not about winning trophies,
I agree with that.
I think, and obviously it's got nothing to do with Harry Kane, but in itself, I think that in itself has turned a lot of big clubs' attentions away from Pochettino. But I think for my own sanity and for my own pride, let's move on.
Of course. So next we're on to my good friend, Will Rayner, brilliant guy on Twitter. And his unpopular opinion is that Christian Pulisic will become world class at Chelsea Football Club. I mean, I certainly hope so, being a Chelsea fan, but what do we think, Josh?
I think it's difficult to say, having an opinion about something that it might happen. Because obviously we don't know whether Maurizio Sarri is going to be there by the time Pulisic eventually joins up with Chelsea in the summer. We don't know after that. We don't know after that who's going to come in. So again, it's a funny opinion. Obviously, he might do. We don't know. He could have an injury that ruins his career. It's difficult to say at this moment in time, I think.
I think a lot of people will sort of disagree because they look at Jadon Sancho coming in, basically overtaking his place in the team. Pulisic having some niggles. But the way I see it is just that I think, Will, mate, I really hope you're right. And I think if he can get off the ground quickly and get into that first team, I really don't see why not around people like Hazard, hopefully Hudson-Odoi, but probably not now. And, Pedro, if he's given a chance, well, I don't see why not, mate. But we'll just have to see. And next unpopular opinion, and it's probably my favourite because it's one of my favourite pundits. It's Chris Sutton.
Here we go.
And we're going to roast him, an ex-Chelsea player, Chelsea legend.
Legend, come on.
He says that Virgil van Dijk is the best player in the world.
I don't think he's even the best player at Liverpool. So to be the best player in the world is quite a statement. No, come on. Come on. Whatever Chris Sutton is drinking should be taken away from him. It's not fair to have someone with that kind of mindset being exploited on national television. What is he talking about?
Who would you put above him then, mate?
Well, I mean, it's obviously Messi and Ronaldo are the two biggest contenders for that position. But even if you just talk about Liverpool, I would put Mo Salah above Virgil van Dijk. Maybe perhaps only Salah. Van Dijk is obviously a class defender. In terms of the Premier League, I would put people like Eden Hazard above him. Pogba in his current form, I would put above Virgil van Dijk. Of course, obviously one match conceding 3 goals in and of itself isn't indicative of a bad defender. But with is he talking about what kind of time frame is he talking about this in? If he's talking about the here and now, of course he's not. Why are we even discussing this?
I know. I love you, Chris Sutton, and I love the fact you're a brilliant wind-up, but that is all you are, man. You're a brilliant wind-up. And if you keep talking like this, you'll be on this show a lot. And you probably have a Sutton segment by the end of like 4 episodes or something. But next one, and it's one of my followers again. Sorry for the Chelsea focus, guys. Bradley Walton. And he says that Marcos Alonso has been unfairly criticised by Chelsea fans. He's been overworked and less effective than he used to be on that account. And probably also because of the positional change out of the left wing-back phase. What do we think?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there. Positional change. He was the perfect idea, really, of an Antonio Conte defender. And unfortunately, when you have a player that fits that position so well, to then have a new manager come in and change that, obviously he's not going to be performing as well. But I think that the Chelsea's defensive problems extend far beyond Marcos Alonso. There's so many issues going on at Stamford Bridge at the moment, beyond the defence, beyond the starting 11. Maurizio Sarri, really, I think he's got to decide where his head's at. And I think if I use United as an example, both LVG and Jose Mourinho both would be hell-bent on having this system and having whatever players they had at their disposal in that system, when the reality is you have to fit the system around the players you've got, not the other way around. Because as we've seen with Sven's and the golden generation, LVG and Jose, it doesn't work.
Oh, I think that's harsh. We've just beaten Tottenham. We're in the League Cup final. Still in the Europa League. Still got a great chance at top 4. I think you wait it out to the end of the season because he said once we've mastered the 4-3-3, he will move to a 4-2-3-1, which would be interesting. I think that's a bit harsh on Maurizio, but maybe that's one for another episode where I have to stick up for him in front of football Twitter. Anyway, guys, I've really enjoyed this episode. I'm sure you have too, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to sign off for this week on the Phoenix Club. Have a good week, guys.